Do you know what this is? Hang out with us and I'm gonna let you know. Hey guys, I am so excited to bring you a set of videos in this mini-series where we're gonna actually show you from A to Z, from templating, fabricating, design choice, and pouring, all the way to installation. Stay tuned and enjoy our videos. All right guys, so when we get a job where the customer wants countertops that are actually fabricated to their space, we always start with templating first. We use our template material. This is available on our website. You're not going to find that in any big box store. These are made specifically for us for templating. So what we're going to do is Kenny's going to show you how we use our template material and how we template a new fabricating area or countertop that we're going to fabricate. The really cool thing about using this template material and the way that we do it is we can come in and template maybe a wall that's not square, maybe a wall that's wavy, and use our template and trust our template to be able to now go back to our shop, take the template, and then create and fabricate the countertops.
All right guys, so we're here in this kitchen. We're fixing the template. I'm just gonna go over some of the tools that we're gonna need for this project. For one, you're gonna need either a utility knife, X-Acto knife, or a regular knife. That way you can cut your templating material. You can get this templating material on our website, RK3 Designs. Also, you're gonna need a square. I use some finishing nails and a little hammer. That way I can tack down the templating material so it doesn't sag. So when I put it on there, I make sure it's nice and taut and it's tight where it's gonna be, so when I take this back to the shop, it's not gonna grow or shrink or whatever. When I'm templating, it's gonna be the exact amount, so when I come back to install it, it's gonna be perfect. Also, tape measure and some sort of Sharpie. Also, to glue the pieces together, I use 2P10. Also, you can get this on Amazon, and it has pretty much the super glue with the activator. You put these two together, and it sets up super fast. Let's get started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on the back. All right, so we're gonna make sure that our piece is flush with the edge, and we're gonna tack down to the base cabinet. And I'm not gonna put nails on the pieces that go from front to back. The reason is because I'm gonna put a strip of templating material to attach the front and the back, and then if I put a nail here, then I'll have to remove it. And the main thing is when you are templating, you're just gonna template the box, and then you're gonna add all your notes, everything on top of here. Then you'll cut it to those dimensions. So we'll know that we're gonna add 1.5 inches off the front, and we're gonna add 1.5 inches off the back, and you'll see that once we get done how that's gonna work out. And you can see how that's helping it stay, because if I would just allow this and then template it and cut it over here, when I lay it on a flat surface, this is gonna grow a little bit, and then your template will be way off. As long as it's pretty close, and I make sure that I get the front of the cabinet, that way I can get my dimensions off the front. And so what I'm gonna do now is just tack it, and then we'll glue this together right here just so it holds it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece, come down this way, I'm gonna add a piece and give it about 2 or 3 inches overlap. We'll glue this together and butt it up into that, and that'll be that cabinet. So if you don't want to measure, you can always just kind of eyeball it. Just go from here, one little score. Once it's scored, then it'll just pop off and break. And that'll be good. I don't want to go past my straight edge on the front, I can bring it back just a little bit, say about 3/8 of an inch, and I can cut it there. See, then now I have a great reveal. I can trace that, it'll be a lot easier. Put the activator, set that down pretty quick because it's going to set up. So when I'm doing the sinks, I make sure that I go with one edge or the other. I make sure that I use the edge so I know what's the inside of the base cabinet. So when you're doing that, that's going to give you an idea. So say when you get back, you don't know what kind of sink they're using, you will have a rough dimension of the sink, because there are some cases where the sink is too big, and that'll tell you if it's going to fit in your base cabinet. So make sure that you use something like this to determine where the base cabinet is. That way you have the dimensions. So once the glue is set up, you can take the nails and reuse them in other locations, because as you can see here, it's glued together. It's not going anywhere. I don't just use a bunch of nails in this one piece, because if not, then you have to take them all off. So it's easier just to reuse where you can. I would always hold the front and back. That way the template stays where it needs to be, and then you could just remove these as you go. Okay, so one thing you need to always remember, and this is a good spot so you could see, right here there's a little reveal that comes out, it bumps out, and most cabinets have them. You want to make sure that you go 90 degrees off of this and not cut it back. That way your cabinet, your countertop looks symmetrical to your base cabinet. This also, you need to make sure that you come out and where the stove is, the stove opening looks straight. So make sure that you take that in consideration and you don't stop at the base cabinet, because that can affect the way your project turns out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use a little square and butt it up there, and then we'll just make the reveal. We'll nail it, and then we'll flush it up. One thing as you can see, is the only thing I'm using the nails for is just to tack it down. And so you don't have to knock the nails all the way down. All you need is where it just gets a little bite. That way when you pull them up, it's not so hard. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get the reveal for the doors, and I'm going to make sure that I have the center line all the way up. So I'm going to mark my template right there. I can double check the measurement from here to here, and I know that that's the door reveal. If anything's off, we can't go off the box, because we need to make sure that the reveal is centered with the sink. So we can't go too much off the box, but we can go off the doors, and that way it'll look the best. So what I'm going to do now, since I got this template done, I'm going to go around and add my notes all the way in front of this. So we're going to put that this is the sink. So what I do is, the reason why I put notes on here is because when I get home and I start cutting this out, it's going to remind me of things I need to do versus trying to remember it. So I try to put as many notes as I can on here, just to make sure that everything is correct. The next thing also I'm going to do is I'm going to take a measurement. We're going to go from the end. I'm going to take measurements of the wall, and I'm going to write them on there. But I'm going to write the actual measurement, so it's 109 1/4. And I'm just going to put 109 1/4. That way, if something happens to my template, it tears, or in transport it gets messed up, I'll know that I can put this back together, and it's going to give me the right amount. Also, what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna measure to make sure what the base cabinets are. If you don't do this and then you go and say, well, it should be 24.5 or 24 inches, and then I just go 25.5. Like here, this is a 1/2 inch off or longer. So I'm gonna have to make this 26 inches to give the correct reveal. So if you don't look at this and make sure that everything is good, that's gonna throw you off, and then you're gonna have to redo your tops. So just make sure, just go around and double check everything, 24.5. So then I'm gonna put a 24.5 base, okay? And so now I know that the base is 24.5. I make sure that the reveal is gonna be 26 inches. That way that gives you the correct amount. And that's it for this. Since we're on the next cabinet, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the back strip. I'm just gonna kinda eyeball it. So basically what I'm trying to get right here is the perfect reveal for this back corner, because as you can see, it is pretty tricky to get this here. And then I'll show you the wall. The wall is pretty crooked, so we're gonna have to do some shimming, and then we're gonna cut the countertop to where it's crooked with the wall. That way when we slide it in, it's gonna take the contour of the wall, and you'll never see that bow in the wall. Okay, can you see the gap right here? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some filler pieces in between where the pencil lines are right there. And then we're gonna fill that up with the templating material. That way, so when I get back to the shop and I build these these countertops, I'm gonna have that reveal, and then I'm just gonna trace that out and it'll be nice. Wall is bowed on here, and what I'm gonna do is I take these little pieces and then I push them up into the wall, so that way when I'm going and building my countertop, all I'm gonna do is just trace these little pieces. It's gonna give me that curve, and then I cut it to that curve, and then when I put it up against that wall, you're not gonna see that big gap in the back of the countertop. Just remember, when you're done with, well, when I'm done with templating one countertop, I need to go back and write all my notes on there. That way I don't forget anything. So same thing. The other thing I want y'all to see is that this countertop is 24, the base cabinet is 24 inches. So this one is only gonna be 25.5. It's not gonna be 26. So that's why I say you'll need to double check everything and make sure that the base cabinets it is what it is, and you don't go off of just one standard length. So just make sure that you check that out. Okay guys, so remember I was talking about on that other countertop, the reveal. So because this is the stove, you don't want to go and measure from this base cabinet, right? You want to make sure that you're templating all the way out to the reveal, so that way it's flush and you have a nice straight reveal. Because if you come, or you go here and then you go down to the base cabinet, the cabinet's going to go crooked and you'll be able to see that reveal. This way everything looks nice and straight. When you slide the stove back in after you put the tops in, everything's going to look nice. So what I do is I take a picture of each individual cabinet. That way I have that record for me when I go back to the shop, and I don't have to come back and ask for one little measurement, or I don't know what it looks like. So I take a picture of each individual cabinet, and then that way everything will, when I get home, I don't have any questions for that. All right guys, we have templated all the countertops in the kitchen and in the pantry room. Now we're gonna tackle this island. And what we're gonna do is just lay the big strips out. The plywood that you see here, it is pretty much to what they want the island. They want to come off 6 inches off of this, so we're gonna bring this 6 inches in. But I'm just gonna template this plywood and then just make minor adjustments. Like on this front edge, we're just gonna add 3/4. On that far edge over there, we're gonna add 1 inch. It's going to be real basic, really fast, and you'll see how we do this. Now, I am not going to be nailing down this. What I'm going to do is just going to use some blues painter tape just to hold it down. It'll make it a lot faster, and we can get it knocked out. So let's go. Anybody can do this, as long as you're just patient and you template out what's there. And make sure one thing that you always do is you're trusting your template. Because when I first got started, I would always think 90 degrees, you want to make everything square and like furniture, but this is not that. You're going to have to always compromise and make stuff crooked to appear straight. So if you can remember that, that's going to help you get over the fear of not cutting it straight, because a lot of it is not straight. As you can see here, I would say 99% of the houses that you go to, none of the walls are perfect 90 degrees. So just as long as you just do that, you're going to be good to go. Take your time, make sure you do it right, double check it, and everything will come out in the end, and it'll turn out beautiful. So you can see here, everything is nice and neat. I can glue all the corners down, and off you go. Now we're not going to have to worry about, oh well, if I glue that. And that's one thing I do like to say, I have to say, is if you can lay it out like this before you start gluing, that way if you have to make some minor adjustments, that'll be the easy thing to do, versus once you glue it and you tear it, it's very hard to tear it apart. So nail it down or tape it down like you see here. That way you make sure everything's right, and then you can go back and glue, and it's a lot faster. Kenny's saying is it'll work out. It's just wood. You can always cut it and redo it, right? Don't be scared of it. It's not like we're making a nuclear reactor or something. And there you go. Voila. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and then that way it'll notify you for future videos that we do like this. But guys, thanks for sticking around. Until next time, adios.
I've actually learned about Rhonda quite a few years back from a coworker of mine who was actually Rhonda's neighbor as well. And she spoke so highly of her, and we were still in the process of just trying to get everything going with the remodeling of the house. And so I just started looking into it and checking out her Facebook pages, and loved all the work. And so that's really what led me to RK3.